So it is boot processing. So what is boot processing? Different ways we can tell what is boot processing. And the boot processing having steps. The very important one is these steps are very important in the boot processing. Boot processing steps. So actually what is boot processing or booting? Computer booting. So generally you turn on the system, you power on the system. Laptop, desktop, mobile phone, just you power on it. After powering on, okay, after some time, you are able to see a login screen. Then you log into the system and system applications are started. So what happened once you power on the system till you got a login screen? Inside your system, the steps by step process, we call it as a boot processing. You can tell in different ways, right? This is one. Step-by-step loading of voice. You power on the system, voice is loaded. Once voice is loaded, you got a login screen. How this voice is loaded, the step-by-step process of loading operating system, not installing, loading OS by the system itself. Okay. Another one is it is step-by-step process of turning on the computer. Turning on the computer. That is also boot process. So different ways, find out what is boot process. Which one is you are able to tell or easy to tell? Take that. Next. Boot processing steps. Boot processing steps. The very first step is called a post step. The first step is a post step. Once you power on the system, system performance post. Power on self-test. Okay. Power on self-test. When you power on the system, system perform post. Power on self-test. Meaning is system test itself to make sure all the components working or not. Okay. So actually, like if you are explanation wise, you see, when you power on the system, the power supply, power is distributed to all the components of the computer. Now the system load instructions from your BIOS to your processor. Okay. And the first instruction is to check all the components working or not. So what is your CPU will do it like your system? It check all the components working or not. So this is called a post. Simply say when you power on your system, system perform post, power on self-test. Meaning is the system test itself to make sure all the components working or not. Next, once all components working, it is called post successful. Then go to the next step. System search for the bootable device based on the BIOS boot priority. In the BIOS boot priority, in yesterday we have seen right the BIOS boot priority list. We'll go to BIOS. Yeah, nice. This is BIOS boot priority. Depends upon this BIOS boot priority. Systems check for the bootable device. Like first it will check as per this priority. First it will check in a CD-RAM. Is in CD-RAM any bootable CD is inserted? Yes, and load a OS from that CD. Now then search for the OS drive from the removable device like a pen drives. It found load the OS from the pen drive. Otherwise, go to the next one. Hard disk. Check the OS in the hard disk. This hard disk contains a OS. Yes, load OS from the hard disk. Okay, like that. It will verify one by one device. So what is the second point is search for the bootable device based on the BIOS boot priority. Boot priority list. Next. Find bootloader. First, it found the bootable device. Example, maybe in a hard disk. So it find the bootable device. Example, hard disk. So hard disk contains a virus. So again, system try to find where is bootloader file in the hard disk. Where is bootloader file in the hard disk? This bootloader file in the Windows, in our Windows, current Windows, bootmgr. Bootloader file name is bootmgr in the Windows. In Linux, grub. So it will find the bootloader in the bootable device. So it load the bootloader file. So then this bootloader file is a OS configuration file. So this bootloader file will tell you where is operating system files and how to load OS, means which mode of OS has to be loaded. Okay, that is bootloader file. So now the bootloader will tell you where is operating system files, where is this, how to load, which mode of OS has to be loaded. In Windows, we have two modes. One is full mode, that is UI mode, complete mode we are using, that is full mode. Another one is safe mode. For troubleshooting purpose, we use safe mode. It's a minimal operating system. In Linux, we have a multiple modes also there. Single user mode, multi-user mode with networking, multi-user mode with UI kind of modes. Okay. So again, the bootloader will tell where is OS operating system files and how to load OS. Load operating system. Once OS is loaded, then you got a login screen. In the login screen, log into the, it give a username password. Okay. So once you log into the system, once OS is loaded, system related services are started. You got a login screen. Once you log in, user-based services, applications will start. Then you can start using the system. Once the boot processing is completed. Okay. Once again, what is boot processing? Step-by-step loading of operating system by the system itself. Or step-by-step process of loading OS. Step-by-step process of turning on the computer. Step-by-step process of step-by-step process by the computer to turn on the system or load operating system. Anyways, okay. What are those steps? Once you power on the system perform post operation. First step is post. Power on self-test, system test itself to make sure all the component working on that. Second step, system search for the bootable device based on the BIOS boot priority. So third step, find bootloader in the bootable device and load bootloader. The bootloader file will tell you where is the OS and how to load OS. Next, OS is loaded. You got a login screen, log into the system, then you can start using the system. Simple. How to remember these steps? This picture helps you to remember. First is you have to power on. What is second? What is first? You have to power on. After powering on, post. In boot processing, first step is post. Power on, self-test. Next, bootable device. Find bootable device means OS content device. Okay. Next, in the OS device means like a hard disk. This OS device contains a bootloader file. This bootloader file will tell you where is OS and OS is loaded. In OS, kernel is first loaded, then OS related shell will be loaded. Okay. So once OS is loaded, in system process is started. User space means login space. It will show once you log in, you are able to see all your files, your applications are runs. This is a boot processing. Compulsory practice, guys, because it's one of the most common question in interviews. is a sequence of events that occur when computer is powered on, starting from BIOS initialization, running power on self-test, locating bootloader to load operating system kernel into the memory. This process prepare computer run software initialize hardware components. Like this is one statement. Any statement you can take it and make sure you're understanding. And so power on BIOS is loaded. Will tell host locating bootable device, loading bootloader, loading operating system kernel, then system configuration and login screen. A soft booting, hard booting, we don't require. Okay. But this is a small steps, very easy steps. Okay. So power on the system, then system test itself, power on self test. Post. First is post. Second is bootable devices, like an hard disk. Third one is bootloader. Fourth one is loading of operating system. Okay. And fifth one is we got a login screen. So log into the system, start using the system. Simple to remember. Okay. Practice guys, compulsory boot processing, BIOS, BIOS settings, CMOS batteries, RAM and ROM differences. Boot processing is another very important question. It's in the your technical interviews. Okay. Last few batches, I skipped it. I separately discuss hardware related troubleshooting things separately because after this I went directly to the operating system. What is OS, OS related information, drivers, differentiations I discussed. So then I combine all the hardware separate, troubleshooting separately. But now for your batch, what I'm doing is today after this, like we'll take some break. After a break, we'll go into see if system is not turning on, what happened? If you got a blank screen error, what happened? Based on the boot processing. Okay. System shows device not found. Okay. Bootable device not found. What to do? Okay. So that is, we'll see this Windows keep loading. Part to troubleshoot. This is entirely in one part. After this, very important, two more important. One is system is slow. What to do? After that, very important. I said now, BS wording. So this completes actually the main points. The BS wording. Blue screen of death. Okay, system is slow. What to do? Next one is blue screen of death. So these are a very important in the hardware related. Okay. After this, operating system notes is there, guys. You can easily read what is an operating system, what is the use of OS. Okay. What is kernel and what is shell? That is not much important. What is kernel and shell? General not required. If you have an idea, just read once. Okay. Different types of OSs. This is again important. What is the types of operating system? Different operating systems. Okay, few things I given in notes. We'll see that one. Either if any possible, I will discuss it. Okay. What is Windows 10, Windows 11 difference, Windows Linux differences, device drivers? This we will discuss tomorrow. So we'll complete the remaining hardware troubleshooting. So at least some of the troubleshooting parts we'll go into this. So where are we? Boot processing like this. So at the time of booting, at a time of booting, different issues will occur. So based on that, we'll discuss. Okay. Now take a break, small break, and we'll continue.
Hello, sir.
Now tell me.
Sir, I have a doubt. Can you clear me?
Now tell me.
Sir, how many days will take for the entire process, sir? Like clearing the interview rounds and they are giving offer letter.
Um, so first of all, Versant has to be completed. Okay. If you
Okay,
are
sir.
all guys are confident to give Versant, Okay.
Okay.
So you just spoke to your Ravan sir. Sir will conduct your version because the version is the first key. You have to
Okay,
pass in
sir.
the version test. So if you are confident to clear the version, so first give the version. Once version completed, then it will share it to the HCL version score. HCL will started HCL from the HCL they will start the voice and accent.
Okay, sir.
Then
Okay.
technical round. Okay. Again,
Okay,
it
sir.
is all depends upon the HCL again. HCL will check it, your version score, and then voice and accent clear. Then they will conduct technical. Once they told, yeah, technical is will start, and once technical clear, immediately,
Okay.
almost like within 2 3 days or less than a week only, your joining process will start. Okay,
Okay, sir.
so it's up to here. This part it's in the HCL hand. This part in your you and Ravan sir hand. Okay.
Okay, sir. Sir, this entire process will conduct only in online mode.
Yeah. Till joining up to